Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Corner Cauldron. We've already started laughing, people, with me, Buffy, and my co-host with the most, my brother from another mother, my WT, my Wonder Twin, Jim Spillin. How are you, bro?
I'm looking to give anybody a hand that needs it. What's going on?
Well, yeah, I see that.
Got my little hand out there.
Nothing much. Yeah, we're a few minutes behind schedule tonight because again, I had to rearrange where I do the show from. So if you see the background is a little different, that's we have entered the boudoir area. Yeah.
The boudoir.
Yeah, but we're good though. We're good. You can't see anything but my curtains, so we're good. Oh my goodness. So how have you been?
Been good. Finally got temperatures down around here. Not much going on. You know, just kind of like taking it easy, relaxing a little bit. Nothing much of anything going on. So, hey, we had a birthday party Saturday for my son-in-law's mom. I was tasked with making the pulled pork for the group. So,
see, you should have never had people taste your pulled pork, and now all of a sudden,
everybody was happy. I know. I'm the pulled pork master. What the hell is that?
Apparently, and burnt ends on top of that,
and my ribs.
And the ribs. Okay, we have. You know what? You haven't had my ribs yet, so I think at one point we were supposed to have a
little grill off.
A trifecta of a little grill off there between me, you, and Tim. But I never thought that happened. That didn't happen. But maybe one of these days.
It'll happen one of these days.
It will definitely happen one of these days.
How was your week?
Don't mind the sound. So, it was good. It was good. I had a lot of I was running around, and then I actually pretty much had nothing to do this weekend. So, which was the first weekend I had nothing to do. Why am I so large?
That's what he said.
People are looking at my nostrils. There we go. Looking up my dang nostrils and seeing the reds of my eyeball veins.
That's right, Tim.
Which was great. So I got a lot of catching up that I needed to have done.
Nice.
It is. And by the way, we need to wish him a public happy birthday and a happy anniversary to him and his lovely wife, Donna.
Yes. Congratulations.
Had slaw dogs for his birthday, apparently. Look at that.
Damn.
Yes. You and Donna.
Tim looks all of 25.
Yeah. He does. Literally all of 25.
He's holding it together really well.
My goodness. That is a good thing. That is a very good thing. Oh my goodness. So I'm trying to get my schedule is running amok because spooky season is almost upon us.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get real busy. Are they doing
are
you gonna do Fort Mifflin again?
I have not been asked to do Fort Mifflin again, and I don't know whether they are like doing the tarot readers this year or not.
Okay.
I have not heard anything, but I would love to be welcomed back. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Greg O'Brien. So, that's just a calling out. I'm manifesting to the universe. I really enjoyed it.
You figure you still got the better part of a month before they get anything. Maybe Greg will give you a call.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he'll give me a call. We'll see. But I enjoyed, I'm trying to get feelers out for other expos and stuff. So we'll see what happens.
You got your buddy there that does it with you there at Mifflin.
Yes, Kathy Klimzak. So
Thank you. I
if you
couldn't think of her
happen to all
name.
go to Fort Mifflin, yeah, she's been on our show. If you have a chance to go to Fort Mifflin, during spooky season, they do have like ghost tours, ghost hunts that they do. Bro and Lucy, and I think who else was there? Was Dalton there? Was
Dalton was there? Bailey and
Bailey
James
there?
were there?
Or was it just you and the wife?
It was just Bailey and James.
Okay.
Yeah, Dalton didn't.
Okay. So Jim and Lucy and Bailey and James all came to Fort Mifflin to do one of the ghost tours that they had, and it was freezing cold and windy, but they had the fire pits going.
Yes,
and
did.
I really enjoyed it. I loved getting to meet new people. I met two wonderful people. One of them is Eileen. She was another tarot reader that was there, but Kathy and I hit it off. I mean, it was great because they had a little hot cider truck there that would give you spiked hot cider.
Ooh.
Which was great.
Nice.
And we would do one on, one off, where I would buy for Kathy and I, and then she would buy for the two of us, back and forth for like an entire month and a half. And I really enjoyed meeting all the people that actually came out to the ghost tours and the ghost hunts, and had a great time. I really did. So if they invite me back, you know what? I will do it again. I will say yes. But my personal clients are booking up, and Ringtown again is booking up. So, which is my favorite place to go, which is Ringtown. I do enjoy myself at Ringtown with Sherry and Bill and all the kitties and Rachel and Jish. And she does therapeutic massage, but she also does some sound baths there, which are very nice. So I enjoy every time I'm there. Let's see who's in the chat. Hey, Lucy. Lucy's in the chat. I'm sorry, Lucy. Didn't mean to ignore you. Desiree. Hey, can I put in my order for December?
December? Santa Claus.
At another 40 years to it. What, for Jim's pulled pork or what?
What's the matter?
That was a nice time. Lucy said she had a nice time. Now, I was referencing Desiree's text, or her comment, where she said, hey, can I put in an order for December? So I don't know whether she was talking about your pulled pork or not, or my readings. Beth walked into the chat. Hey, Beth.
I can't see anybody.
So we got a lot of people coming into the chat today.
Dang it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm going to say hi to everybody. I can't see you in the chat just for whatever reason, but it's all good.
Well, they're on Facebook. They're on the Facebook chat.
Oh, okay.
They're on the Facebook chat.
Yeah, I have problems getting Facebook like
Jim's pulled pork for Stephen and David's birthday. There you go. Your pulled pork.
Who wants it?
Apparently, Desiree. Stephen and David, I believe, share a birthday, so they want to do it for December. Put in your orders now.
Right. Orders are filling fast.
So, on to the brass tacks of what we're going to be talking about tonight, because we have a spirit visitor who's poking me. So had you ever heard of, Bro, prior to me asking you about the Witch of Ringtown? Okay. She was one of the very first spirits on the very first day of me working in Ringtown that showed up.
Okay.
Even the visit to Ringtown, she showed up. And if anyone knows me, they hop in the car and then they start yik-yakking,
Oh yeah.
about certain things. And I immediately, when I was introduced to Sherry and Bill, asked Sharon who Susan Mummy was.
Yeah.
And I have never in my life seen her eyes get any wider than that. I mean, they were like saucers. And her first question was, how do you know Susan? I said, I don't know. There's a woman in the car, elderly woman who was sitting next to me wearing a purple dress, who decided that she was going to pop on in and be like, just drive. And I was like, okay, Sue. And she's like, it's not Sue. It's not Susan. Or it's not Susie. It's Susan.
Right.
So, and there are a couple pronunciations. You can call her Susan Moomy. Some of them called her Moomy. I think it is, the correct pronunciation is Moomy.
Moomy.
But
how that is pronounced.
Yeah, you know how spirit is with me. They showed me a picture of a mummy, like Attack of the Mummy, and I'm like, who's Mummy? And then she just looked over at me and I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're doing David Cummings. Dave's in the chat. He was finally able to comment. Hello, everyone. Hi, David. So, what did you think about the story of Susan Mummy? Or Mummy, excuse me.
So when we go back to thinking about witches, like we did with the past shows that we've done and the shows you've done with witches and winging it, she was a
by
herself witch. Early 1930s was when she kind of made herself known. So she's well past all the witch trials and all that kind of stuff and all that hoopla. And what I found interesting with her, it wasn't so much that she predicted things or well, we'll get into hexing in a little bit, but she wasn't so much like that overbearing witch that everybody kind of worried about or thought about. She was just, there was one thing in her life that actually kind of, in my opinion, I don't know how you think, but in my opinion, there only one incident in her life that deemed her to be a witch. And that's when everybody from all around the area would come to her and where she got a reputation in Ringtown. And they said it involved her husband.
Yeah.
So I won't allude it anymore. But so what she did was she woke up one morning and she was married to her husband and she said, don't go to work today. I feel like something bad's going to happen. Well, to me, that can also be attributed to a witch, but a lot of us have premonition. A lot of us get that feeling. A lot of us get that vibe. Like, I got up today, put my left foot down out of the bed, and I thought, oh, something bad's going to happen. And I think, which tells me that she had an extremely close relationship with her husband. And I think that's one thing also that the vibe builds off of, where you don't so much be deemed as a witch, but we'll get into it later on how they made her a witch. But when you get close to somebody and you know somebody and you love somebody, you can just pick up things. There's things that are going on. And tragically, what happened, had her husband not gone to work, she would have had a husband through her old age. Her husband was killed in a steel building explosion or something. That killed him. And had he not gone, she would have been alive. But because she had that prediction or that premonition, depending on how you want to look at it, with everything I've read about her, I mean, she's not the witch that we think of when we've talked about witches in the past on the show. She's more of like a premonition witch. She's more of the crystal ball reader. So much more the hexing or the vexing or like the running with familiars or anything like that. So to me, I'm kind of torn whether or not she was really at a witch or was she just. But then again, that can make you a witch, I guess. But just gifted at premonitions, if that's such a thing. But again, I think that
Right.
premonitions come along when you're so close to somebody. You get that
Mm-hmm.
feeling, that vibe that things are off. And maybe he had a bad vibe at work on the day before, like, man, those girders are just not holding up. And it vibrated out of him into her, and she's like, "Look, just don't go to work today." Could have been
Mm-hmm.
very easy for him to do it, but he didn't. He was just a working man, went to work, and an unfortunate incident happened to him. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's how I see her right now as we start the show. I know she did a few more things, and people would come to see her for things. And then there's that one guy we got to get into, Mr. Albert, that
Oh
impact.
yeah.
So, but what did you? So, in a way, when we talk about witches, is she your lack of a term and lack of description, like your standard witch, or do you think she was just more of a gifted individual with her thoughts and feelings of intertwining with her like loved ones? That's the only way I
Mm-hmm.
can describing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I I want to say that first of all we have to understand back in those days the area that she was from, which is Ringtown, or a small town
Born
called
and bred, born and bred in Bringtown.
Handale, Handale, Ringtown area. Those places were all settled by German immigrants. So when you go to Pennsylvania, right away people say, "Oh, Pennsylvania Dutch." It's more or
Right.
less they didn't like to be called Dutch because they weren't from Holland. Their reference back then was that you were Dutch if you came from Holland. They were German. They were a lot
Mm-hmm.
of German immigrants, and that's where you see a lot of German influence when you go to places like Lancaster, you go to Hershey, Ringtown, Monoy, Port Clinton, St. Clair, places like that are all steeped in German history. And when we talk about German history, especially in Pennsylvania or those parts of Pennsylvania, we have to talk about two groups of religious people, which were called the Brockerai and the Hexerai. Um, the the difference between the Brockerai and the Hexerai is more or less like the Hexerai were those who spun off. They were a little bit Catholic, a little bit Lutheran, a lot Lutheran, and some Amish thrown in there, kind of, sort of, in a hodgepodge of things. And the Hexerai were considered the bad ones. The Hexerai were considered those who would hex somebody or curse
Right.
somebody or did
Yeah.
they call quote unquote black magic kind of stuff. And then you had the Brockerai, which formed powwow.
Mm-hmm.
Not powwow
Powwow.
as we see it Native American powwow, but powwow
Right.
magic that they claimed part of their heritage. And it was basically healers. They were healers, they were people who would make herbs, shamans, medicine women, um, people that could get hexes off of people. Not that they couldn't do it, because in order to get it off, you need to know how to do it, first of all. So I don't want to say that all of them were like, oh, yay, love, light, and, ooh, glitter and rainbow unicorn farts and all that good stuff.
Unicorn farts? Is that what you
Any,
just said?
huh?
Did you just say
What?
unicorn? Did you just say unicorn farts?
Yes, I did. Unicorn
Okay.
farts and glitter. I mean, it's not
Okay.
all love locks and love and lollipops. Okay, it wasn't all that. There was some darker side of that. In fact, Tim just commented Bermhilda. And any Methodists in the group? No, I don't think they even talking to sis. Not about no Methodists, but a lot of Lutherans and some Quakers in there thrown in there for good measure. And I want to say that Susan was more of the Brockerai, where she healed people and she did have a gift. So as far as like witchy, putting curses on people, and that's a stereotypical kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
To say, to make a comment about would be like, oh, witches hex people. What are you going to do? Put a hex on me? You don't know me. I might, whatever. But I want to say that she was more of the Brockerai than the Hexerai.
Okay.
She knew how to heal people. Did she have premonition? Absolutely.
Right.
Does that make her a quote unquote witch? I don't think that does. I mean, the whole time that I spent being around her spirit, and as I am now, she doesn't like that term. I mean, she really doesn't. It's not not what she grew up understanding what a witch was. No. I just think she was a gifted person who had the gift of healing, who happened to be really crabby. I mean, she was
Oh,
just,
she was a miserable shit.
well, I want to,
From what I saw, yeah.
yeah. Half of me wants to sympathize with her because I think being able to speak to them, you understand their side of the story.
Sure.
And you understand why they were crabby in a roundabout kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But she was known as the crabby person. In fact, the news article that I pulled up explained, and I love the vernacular that they used for the news article. Crabbing. She was always crabbing with someone, according to the neighbors.
Right.
So I'm gonna let you take off with that because I think I answered the question. Was she a witch? Not to certain standards. I think that
Right.
she was just a very gifted person who was very jilted in life.
Yeah, and I think that the other thing that most people don't understand about her, when she had her premonitions and everything, she had a very hard time interacting with people.
Yeah.
She was isolated from people.
Mm-hmm.
She actually lived outside of Ringtown, just like,
Yep.
I think by like a mile or two, and I forget the name of the road that she lived on. But she would just encounter. So I can't. I mean, like, I'm with you, right? I don't classify her as a witch, just more of a gifted person than
Right.
a witch. But the problem was, I think she was just so misunderstood. And the biggest problem that I think that she really faces with Albert Stinsky. Now, Albert Stinsky was a guy that I could not find, and hopefully maybe you found something, but I couldn't find where their relationship began. And it was the 7 years that he, for right now, I'll say he endured her. And she was known to have put a hex on him. Well, Albert, for 7 years, lived with this supposed hex put on him by Susan. And it was things like a black cat with these green eyes would come and visit him in the night when he would try and sleep, claw at his side. Every, at least once a month, if not like a couple times a month, the cat just wouldn't let him sleep. He would have to sneak into his bedroom window to try and get some sleep so that the cat wouldn't find him, but the cat would find him. And then, so at some point in time, he decided that Susan was the source of all his problems. Now, I didn't find anywhere where there was a marriage. I didn't find anywhere there was friendship, dating, common laws, kids, interaction at stores, anything. But I think what we had there was you had a gifted woman that was being harassed by what ended up being a nut. So he endured her for 7 years. And to the points where now you talked about that powwow magic. And that's exactly what it was. There was a she had powwow magic. So he visited a person who practiced powwow magic, and this doctor supposedly said, "Look, the only way you're going to relieve yourself of this hex is you have to kill her." So there was like 7 or 8 times that he drove by her house to do the deed, but he just never had the courage to do it. So finally, he had gathered up. Now, the powwow doctor, the thing that I have a problem with, the powwow doctor, I think influenced and did something that he wanted to do, but he took somebody in an incapacitated state like Albert to do for him, because Albert used 2 bullets made by the powwow doctor in his shotgun to shoot and kill Susan in her house. Now, this was about 8 o'clock at night on March 17th. Thank you. I will never forget you now, Mr. Allen. You killed somebody on my personal holiday, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Well, it was mine too. So So we're just throwing it.
We're going to have to go shields up on St. Patrick's Day so old Albert can't sneak his dumb ass in. But it was about 8 o'clock on March 17th in 1934. And he went to the house. He finally built up enough courage. He walked about a mile through the brush, loaded his shotgun, and actually had to wait until Susan's daughter and I think boyfriend came home because they were carrying an oil lamp. So he could actually see who was in the house, so he knew who to shoot. He ended up shooting Susan with the pumpkin ball. Pumpkin ball, for anybody who doesn't know, it's just a round spear of lead that's really used to take down deer and sometimes a bear. But he shot her in the right side and went through her lung and then into her heart and killed her. And he immediately felt like he was relieved of all the hexes and everything. He was dancing it by his car and everything like that. But what I found weird was he broke down the shotgun, got rid of the shotgun, so nobody knew who shot Susan. But a detective, Bruno, from up around Ringstown Police Agency, received the case, and they made an arrest, and Albert confessed everything. But he said he felt so relieved and so relaxed, but there was just enough evidence given at the time when he was arrested to show that you got to spend some time in the mental ward because there's just something seriously wrong with you. But even when he was in the mental ward, he still had the cat coming. So Susan still had the cat unleashed on him when she was killed. So he would complain about the cat and everything, and they left him locked up for 42 years, I believe it was, after he killed 42 years.
He was released 7 years before his death.
Right. So he was deemed incompetent and insane by the judges, and they actually brought him out from the state hospital. And like Buffy said, he died a couple years after his release. They did what's called a nollie process. Now, if nobody knows, a nollie process means you're discharging all the charges against somebody. You're not going to be prosecuted. So they got rid of all the charges against him because he was clarified as a nut. So he died in like 2006, I want to say. For some reason, 2016 comes up, but I know he didn't live that long after he got out. But yeah, so I think there was a lot of mystique with him saying that he was hexed by her, Albert being hexed by her, and then the premonition of her husband, and just people assuming, because you figured in the 1930s, people were all about predictions. It was like, hey, whoa, what's going on here? And then somebody says, oh, this is going to happen over here. And, it came true. All of a sudden, you were like a witch or not a witch, but like a person who could predict the future. And that's where she was at. But it was funny because I don't know what happened, why the husband and the daughter didn't react on the night that he shot Susan. But it was never like, there was never any talk about her having familiars like with witches going around. There was no accusations. And obviously we're way past the witch trials. But that's where, that's how Susan and Albert came to be. And now because she had one marriage that wasn't a marriage, it was a common law. She had one child of her own. I couldn't find out what happened to her child. Her one child's name was Amy, I believe it was Amie. Was her one natural child, and then she adopted
And she
three others
adopted one.
by from the other marriage to somebody. But yeah, she was quite an interesting person. I think she was persecuted a lot because they actually, after Albert before she got killed, part of her history was she had problems with law enforcement there and the sheriff in the area. And they did an eviction on her a couple of times, but she would just move back into the house, almost giving it a little fungi thing. So after two or three times moving into the house, she burned the house down, or she burned the house down, or no, excuse me, the sheriff burnt the house down to keep her out.
Yeah.
And she built like a makeshift hut on the burnt ground until the sheriff burned that one down.
Yeah.
So a poor woman, I mean, if she's there with you in spirit, Buff, I mean, I feel sorry for her because she had things that were really rough for her.
She's got a lot she wants to say. She has a ton, and she keeps poking me in the back.
And and I'd love to hear it, but she didn't do anything. There was nothing that she did, in my opinion, that would have condemned her as a witch or as an evil person, other than just being.
She's saying thank you.
She's more. I think she's more of an empath than anything else. That's exactly what she was, and she was just misunderstood, and nobody understood her. And at the time, you're coming out of the 1800s with the witch trials, 50 years earlier into the 1900s, and now you got a woman that's got some ability, and nobody knows how to classify her. But if we look at her today, she's an empath, and she should have been valued for what she was, but she wasn't. She was just given. She was just given a very hard time, almost like she lived a life of being harassed and not being accepted for who she was. I mean, she sounded like a nice woman, and I think where she got mean and everything on everybody was, look, we just said the sheriff burned down her house twice, and people came around and kind of taunted her a little bit and wanted predictions out of her and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I have to sit here and say tonight, as we're talking about her, it's like, she's there and listening. I feel sorry for her. I wish her well, that she's relaxed and she can finally have time where she can just be herself again and reconnect with her family or something. But I apologize for the people who mistreated her and misdiagnosed is not the right word, but they didn't understand because we were coming out of a violent time with the witch trials in the 1600s. Right. I know it's a couple hundred years later, but still, I mean, you look at it. There's old photographs in those 1930s where people are having seances and they're supposedly producing ectoplasm around the table.
Right.
So she was kind of caught up in that mayhem where everything was starting to switch over and people were having a new understanding and everything. But I mean, I would have to classify her now based on all my knowledge and everything, talking with you, researching this topic. She was an empath. She wasn't a witch. She was an empath.
Yeah. Albert Shinsky died in 1983. He was born in 1908. He died in 1983. He was released 7 years prior to his death. She says thank you for being honest and understanding. First, Susan Mummy was born in 1870. She was born July 29th of 1870. And she was died. What I found were some conflicting dates. One said she died in April. Then there was one that said she died March 18th. One of them said in 1936, but the police report and the newspapers are dated March 17th, 1934, when she passed away. There were a lot of people that were very angry at Susan. And you have to understand, coming out of the 1870s, being born in the 1870s, and living through the Depression, no women's rights, coming out of a late stay witch hunt, living in an area where there were a lot of brockery, hexerai, There was a lot of mystery around them to begin with, and powwow. I do want to say that she was an empath. I want to say that she was a healer,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a
Oh,
seer. She could
yep.
see things. Her first husband passed away from natural causes, and it was more of like a marriage of convenience. It was more of a marriage of common law, like you said, common law marriage. Which I think her first daughter, her Amy, was born out of.
Right.
Um, the husband dies and leaves her, and during those times, women still had no right to property. So yeah, she was crabby as hell. She was crabby as shit because she wanted her property. People
Mm-hmm.
were trying to buy her out of her farm, keep her away from her property, steal her property away from her. So she started into this survival mode of just being, every time somebody crossed her path or walked through her farm or cut through her farm right away, she had this instinct of somebody trying to steal her stuff,
Right.
right? Somebody to steal her things. Um, and that made her very upset. I mean, she what she is saying to me is that she came out of a family where a lot of things were stolen. Like her childhood was stolen. She had, property stolen as a child. And again, it was the whole neighbor deal where, you know, things were being taken and not given back. People were not nice to her. Um, so yeah, she she put up her defenses. She put up her shields.
Mm-hmm.
She had was with the second husband. The second husband was the one that she absolutely loved. He and her got along swimmingly. They loved each other very much. So much so that they were both, this was, I think, both second marriage for both of them. He had a child, a daughter named Travalia.
Yeah.
Tavalia.
Something like that. Yes.
Tavalia or Vilia. She's saying Tavalia.
Civilian.
That she adopted. That she adopted and loved
Right.
to death.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, that one true love was stolen from her. So again, she was jilted the second time.
Oh, yeah.
And she did give notice to her husband saying, please, and she begged, please don't go to work today. Just call off sick. Please don't go to work. Please. And he kept saying, you're crazy. Everything's fine. There's nothing wrong. Da da da. I'm going to work. We still have this farm to pay for. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever, whatever. And he went to work. And of course, the explosion happened and killed her husband. So again, there was this whole land squabble, and she's not being very clear as to the house fires, whether that was the first house or the second house where there was fires. And she is saying that it was his family, not the sheriff. It was his family.
His family burnt the house down
Twice, because she, after the funerals, moved back in, stayed there. And they were like, oh, you don't understand. This is property, da da da, whatnot, this and that, and a third. And she was arrested for trespassing. The family said, this is ours. Our father died, or, my brother died. This is our property, da da da. And she kept saying, but I was married to him.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going to go? She also did have a little side job that she made the hex signs, the hex medallions that you see on the sides of barns.
Right.
And the sides of houses. She did that to make a little extra money. So they arrested her. She came back They burn the house down. She builds a hut on top of the burnt building. Yeah. And so they burnt that as well. So finally, when they, I guess, figured that they couldn't get her off their property, I think they went through legal recourse. And they were like, well, it is a sign of the times that just let her stay on the property. Are you using the property? No. Let her stay on the damn property. This was her husband. She was married to him. Just let her stay on the property. Fine. So she stays on the property, but there were, again, I guess, property line disputes with the other farmers in the area because their farms were adjacent to each other. And there was one in particular that she had a squabble with. His name was Paul Stauffer. There was a verbal altercation about who was going to fix fences because apparently his animals trampled her fence. They got out, something happened where it spooked the animals, I guess, and they hopped her fence. They in doing so, they the fence, and she kept saying, this is your problem. I'm not going to fix this fence. It was your animals that were on my property. They broke my fence, and then the squabbles again about the property land, because when they went to go fix the fences, she thought that Stauffer was taking more of her land. Like, he had pushed her property back and was trying to put a fence up, stealing some of her land. There was argument over that. There was arguments over animals when back and forth between her and other neighbors, where her animals would get loose and then go onto the other farm's property, and the farmer there would take them and say, oh, this is my property now because your animals ran into my yard. And then their animals would run onto her property. It was just a whole mess. It really was a whole mess. And it was, by today's standards, stupid. It really was stupid, to be totally honest. And enter Albert Shinsky. Okay. Albert Shinsky had a couple of jobs. He was 17 at the time. He was a jitney driver for the town, but then he also worked on one of the neighboring farms as like a farm hand, making a little extra cash. And there happened to be an altercation with Susan. She's interrupting me. She's interrupting me. Damn right there was an altercation. Stauffer again with his damn animals. Stauffer with his damn animals again. Broke through my fences again, and I had to go over there and ask him again. This is the second time we are having an issue with these animals. Can't you pen them up in the barn and just keep them there overnight? I'm not asking for you to, slaughter your entire herd there. I'm just asking. And it was pigs. She's referring to pigs. And I guess the pigs are uprooting the fence. They're rooting, so they're messing up the posts.
Okay.
And Albert happened to be was the farmhand there, and he went out one day to take a look at the fencing. And again, she thought that Stauffer was gonna, pull back the property line again and start stealing her land again. Even if it was this much, that was still her property. She didn't care. So while he was out there, she happened to step out onto her back porch. And apparently, that is when the hexing happened. Albert said that she stared at him and gave him a hexing stare.
Uh-oh.
A hexing stare. At this time, he I think her stepdaughter was still living on the property. So for 7 years, it was Albert that was running through town going, she hexed me, she hexed me. I can't even fall in love. I have my eye on this gal in town and she won't even look at me. She's disgusted by me. I'm nauseous. I can't sleep. I can't eat. Yada, yada, this, that, and the third. And he's spreading it all over town. That in there is where the rumors start.
Mm-hmm.
Not her being a crabby old biddy, and the fact that she foretold her husband's death. In fact, I think in the news there was a news article about the explosion where they interviewed her, and she said she had a premonition. That's her fault, and she admits that. She says now hindsight is 2020. If I had thought about my words a little more appropriately, maybe I wouldn't have said, oh, I had a vision that my husband was going to die that night and he just wouldn't listen to me and he went to work and he died. There was the explosion that happened. She is also, people would come to her to heal themselves, like for herbs, like medicine. She is also, if anyone knows me, they know that I love, again, this is how I explain it. I love music and I love movies. And if I am not getting what Spirit's putting down, all right, Susan, I'm getting to it.
Keep at her, Susan.
I can't think with her talking in my ear and everything else. I'll become hyperfixated on a song, right? And right now she's showing, I don't know the name of the song, but there's a lyric that goes, hey, it's all about the money. Hey. And I'm saying this, all about the money. And the song Friends in Low Places.
Friends in Low
Friends
Places.
in Low Places. She yeah. And she's showing me bootlegging. Like she bootlegged alcohol for money. And she's referring to, there was another reason, that was another reason why I didn't want people on my property. She freaking buried the alcohol on her property.
Oh, shit. Why the hell did she bury the alcohol?
Must be the money. Must be the money. She said, oh, you don't know me very well. She said, during Prohibition, we buried a lot of shit.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I forgot about the time frame. Yeah, a lot of cookers and a lot of barriers.
Yes. And she's showing me money. That there is something buried out by a tree in the yard at the present day. Might I remind you, as I am saying this, the house is now private property. So if you live in Raintown or you have friends in Raintown, I'm talking to you. Hello. To you out here. Do not take your car and try to find Susan's house. Even if you know where it is, do not park your car and go on her property. It is private property. And the people that are living there don't want you there. So don't go, driving up in your cars and taking pictures and all kinds of craziness. We've already had people. She said, she said she fixed their little red wagons because they took stuff from her property.
Oh, shite.
And immediately returned it for certain reasons.
Hey, and that's why I say if you want to hex it, hex it because nobody should be taking stuff from your property.
Exactly.
And I got no problems with the hexing or any of that kind of juju that you send out on people when they do the stupid stuff, when they come in there where they're not welcome. That's when you run into the bad stuff. And that's when
she's it's all
you're
about the
allowed to
money.
protect.
I'm just doing this. It's all about the money. I'm gonna please. Hey, what is it? Dab. Kind of thing for the money. There are things that I'm going to digress on that she's saying.
Okay.
And
go for it.
This is for specific people, but I'm not going to say it here. She doesn't want me to say it here because it's not for all of y'all with that. I know who I have to speak to about it, and I will be in contact with them within the next couple of days. Any hoodles. So Albert, who was the jitney driver, he lost his job as a jitney driver because he became so sick by being vexed or hexed that he couldn't even do his job. In the meantime, I will let you know that Susan not only had living with her stepdaughter, Tavala, but she also had a boarder. The boarder's name was Jacob Rice. He would do odd jobs around the house for her for room and board. He would like mow the lawn. He would fix fences. He would tend to the animals and whatnot to kind of pay for his room and board. And she didn't mind. Him and her got along well. As there are discrepancies, I think, in both of our stories. You said that they were like boyfriend, girlfriend. I think it was just that they were just friends. Jacob Rice and her stepdaughter, Tavala, were just friends, romantic anything going on. And I don't think there was anything romantic going on between. And she goes, oh God, no. She's saying, oh Lord, no. Not between Susan and Jacob, who was the boarder that she had. Jacob wound up hurting his foot on something outside. He was trimming something outside, and I think he stepped onto like a rusty nail or something and wound up hurting his foot in some fashion that he couldn't walk around very well. All right. So we know that she's all made all these enemies as far as like, you know, the adjacent farms, the magistrate, the chief of police and everything got called out a couple of times for her being rowdy and potty mouth for some things. She was tending to his wound. His wound had gotten infected and she had mixed up some herbs and whatnot and it was getting better, but he still wasn't able to walk completely on it. I mean, he could hobble around. So on the night of the 17th, all three of them were in the house. Her stepdaughter, Jacob Rice, who was the boarder, and Susan. Susan was preparing to undress Jacob's foot so that she could redress it, apply more stuff, and redress it. So she had asked her daughter, her stepdaughter, to go in and grab the lantern so that they could do it at the table, but he could put his foot up on the table and she could bend over and like wrap it or wash it, take care of it. That night on the 17th, Albert Shinsky for weeks had gone to different hexerai, not brockerai. He had gone to hexerai, to hex doctors, to ask how to get a hex off. And the last one that he went to, now, mind you, this was now powwow medicine. This
Yep.
is hexerai. This is not the brockerai. These are the people that put hexes on people and don't care where their soul's going because they know exactly where it's going. But they're going to have their fun before they get there, kind of issue. The last one that he had gone to stated that the only way to get rid of a hex was to kill the witch who put it on him. That is the only way that the hex is going to come off of you. So he had driven by her house multiple times. That does match. He had driven by her house multiple times. Did not could not get up the gumption to do it. But on the 17th, I don't know what took him over. He says he doesn't know what took him over. But this is kind of weird because your version says that he walked. My version says that he drove up there, past the house, and parked in the access road up the hill from her house. So he's actually looking down. If he's parked, he's looking down.
Right, he was
at her house. Right. And he had gotten out of the truck. He had a shotgun. He had taken the shotgun and had gone around in like a flanking motion, I guess, to find out where she was. And then when he saw the oil lamp, he knew exactly where she was. She was in the room, I believe it was a front room with a table, and she was dressing Jacob's wounds. So as she bent over, he aimed and he fired. The bullet, which what they call pumpkin balls, which you have to actually make pumpkin balls. They made the Pennsylvania Dutch made bullets to fit those rifles that they can make themselves. Pumpkin balls were used for hunting, like rabbits, deer, in specific for winter when things were getting rough and they didn't have enough meat in the house. So that's how they would kill. It was a ball that was made so that they didn't explode the flesh. It just pierced the body and killed it. It didn't explode. You know how a shotgun would have like buckshot. If you're shooting at a rabbit, it's going to ruin the meat because it's going to just shred everything. So he shot. The shot went through the glass window and through Susan's back as she was bending over, dressing his wound. It went through her lung, went up through her heart, and was at such a high velocity, the bullet lodged itself in the door frame. According to the stories that Tavalis said, and that Jacob said, was that the wind going through the glass put out the light.
Yeah.
And they just ducked for cover. The two of them flung themselves on the floor by Susan's body. And then he apparently drove off. I guess getting so scared he got into his truck and he drove off. So that night they had called the police station, and that's where they had Bono, who was the detective that they got to handle. He had gotten a message. He was out of the office saying, go to the Mummy house because we have we think we have a murder that happened. You need to go out there. And he's like, what? He goes out there on the 18th and he sees Susan's body and gigantic pool of blood. And there was no way that she could have survived. So this detective goes all over town and he went and asked Tavali and Jacob who her enemies were. Basically, Jacob sat him down and said, how much paper you got? You may need another pencil. So he made him take out another pencil and start writing, and they named Paul Stauffer was one of them. There was a miner that was another one. All these farmers, and then Albert Shinsky was another one. So that's where that differs. Also said that when they got to Stauffer's house, or to Shinsky's house, he actually climbed out. They knocked on his door, but he climbed out of the secondary bedroom window. And he said, the reason I have to climb out through the window is because the spirits and the demons won't let me go downstairs. They won't let me cross my threshold. So I have to talk to you from here. So, and then he admittedly denies it, says, no, I thought about it, but I never killed her. All these neighbors prior had alibis that checked out. Albert said that he was with a young girl in the next town over at the time of the murder. But the Detective Buono had gone to another house, or had gone to the mines, which were close by, and asked one of the miners, did you hear anything? Da, da, da. It happened to be someone who had a discrepancy with her before, one of the miners. And he said, no, I didn't have a discrepancy. He said, in fact, we were out at a social, but I will tell you that I loaned him the gun the night before. So he loaned Albert that gun.
Right.
And the police went back to Shinsky's house, found the gun in the brush, went through his barn, and found a mold that made the bullets. So he picked up the gun, the Detective Buono. He sent it to ballistics, and I can't believe it in 1934 they had ballistics, but apparently they had ballistics. They had ballistics back then, very crude, but they could tell that gun had been recently fired, and that a pumpkin ball was used. So they put two and two together. They go back to Albert's house. They arrest him, right? Take him back to the police station. He's still vehemently saying that he didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And then when they go to interrogate him, he finally breaks down and admits it, that he did it. Right. How he did it, why he did it, and with whose gun he did it with. So they were like, oh, you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. We gotta do something about you. He was tried before a lunacy commission. So it really wasn't like a trial that he had. He was tried in front of a lunacy commission, and back then a lunacy commission was basically, they had already deemed him not fit to stand trial because he went wackadoo in prison. He was still saying about the cat was coming to visit him, and it was changing faces, and it was Susan's face that you could see in the cat, da da da. He was having all kinds of hallucinations. They were like, no, you're not deemed fit to stand court. Let's do a lunacy trial. They did the lunacy trial, and they found him to be a lunatic, a homicidal lunatic. So they did put him in prison. It was not really prison. It was more like a loony bin, what do they call it? An asylum for the criminally insane is where he went. And they did release him 7 years prior to his death in 1983. And when he was released, he was interviewed again by police, and he did not deny it. He admitted it, and they asked him why he did it, and he said, I don't know, I was young, I was stupid. He said, I was just so upset and listening to other people influence me. And he said, unfortunately, a poor woman is now dead because of me. Mm-hmm. And that's that. But I talked enough. Turning it over to you. And Susan, you can be quiet for 5 minutes while I sip tea.
Yeah, but I mean that's the whole history of this. Ringtown only had the one quote unquote witch, which was Susan. They had the one lunatic in town, and it was the totality of everything that brought her down. It wasn't so much, like, well, they had this and they're doing that, and they're having this trial and that trial and everything. I mean, everything clearly was against Albert. Albert was the shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Albert confessed to it, gave him the gun, said why he did it. Even danced a happy dance by his car before he got back into his car after he killed her. Was encouraged by the powwow doctor. So everything was there for, in today's society, that probably would not be a lunacy hearing. It'd be like he's competent to stand trial because he's telling you everything. So you have to understand, if a person can articulate everything that they did and how they did it, and then how they responded afterwards, then you have a competent person.
Mm-hmm.
An incompetent person or a lunatic would be like not knowing what he did. I mean, the perfect one is there's a movie with John Cusack, Amanda Peet, and John Cusack plays all these personalities in this movie. And I forget the name of the movie, but that's a lunatic. Because somebody has multiple personalities that you can't.
It wasn't One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, was it?
Well, they were. It all. Ray Liotta was in it. They were in a hotel. They were playing out a murder scene. And I can't think of the name of it. And I'll take a second here and Google it. But where I'm going is, it takes a lot to get a lunacy assignment to you or hearing hung on you, because you look at this here.
Right.
This here should have been a straight up trial with the guy answering for what he did the right way, not ending up like it did, because he explained everything. He explained how he did it. He explained why he did it. He even said I drove by the house 7 or 8 times. So it's, and you do the happy dance and everything like that. And like, I'm free of my hex. So yeah, I mean that's another part that where the system, if you look at it, failed Susan. They should have had a straight up hearing about the whole thing that would have given her a lot of relief. But yeah, I mean, but there was no other witches in Ringtown, which I found interesting. There was no covens. There was no secret meetings. There wasn't anything going on other than after this one premonition that she had about her husband, all of a sudden it became, she's a witch. We have a witch in Ringtown. Well, I disagree. Right. And I said earlier, empath. She's not a witch. She shouldn't be classified as a witch. She's just a very gifted person that most people, when they don't understand, go, well, you're a witch. No, I'm not. So it's
absolutely.
It was and I felt bad for her. She got kicked out of her house. She got moved out of town. She got ostracized, and then she lived a lonely life afterwards until she died. Or not.
Yeah.
I'm confusing with asshole getting freed and everything and dying in 1983. But no, she was murdered, and it was she was she was murdered and not given her chance at life and everything. But she was in an uphill battle no matter how you looked at it. And I mean, I don't mean this in a demeaning way when I say it, because I know she's right there with you, but I felt sorry for her. Nobody gave her a chance. She had zero chance. And it was all because of Albert, a powwow doctor, and that was really what it came down to, and a shitty sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Nobody gave her the chance that she should have had and was afforded. It was just taken away from her. And we're going to tell you how you're going to live. This is where you're going to be. This is how your life is going to be until whatever happens.
Right.
Now, so yeah, that's right. That's like I said. That's where I feel bad for her, where everything happened. And Albert, shame on you, dude. Right. You got away with it. You got freed. Yeah, you may have spent 42 years in a mental hospital. I don't know how bad it was or wasn't or anything like that. Don't really care. But ultimately you got released and spent a couple of years outside the walls, where Susan never had a chance because you and your lunacy decided I've been hexed, and
Yeah.
now I got to do something about the hexing. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's what ended up happening here. I just think, like I said, I think the whole totality of Ringtown is, and I'd be curious as to, because I know Buff, you go to Ringtown almost every weekend
Yep.
for meetings and everything.
Yep.
And we talked before we got the show together. I would love to have Sherry on, who is
Mm-hmm.
like the host of Ringtown, as you
Absolutely.
to see her thoughts on all of this, to see what she thinks about what happened to
Mm-hmm.
Susan, how Albert fell into all this, how the Powell doctor fell into all this. I mean,
Right.
you had a nut released by society with a loaded gun to go out and kill. It's what you had. But yet he
Mm-hmm.
articulated and took confession and led them to the gun, and everything. So today, it wouldn't be an insane plea. It'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, eat the 25 years of life or get convicted 25 years of life.
Right.
You would never get out. But like I said, um, unfortunately, there was no other witches. There wasn't anything like that at the time. I think that was all, we were coming into a different era.
Yep.
Life and everybody was going around, and people just people just mistreated her. And I feel bad for her. You always say, it's like, wow, how do you feel about the past when you hear something or find something out about how somebody got mistreated or shunned? That's basically what happened
Mm-hmm.
here. She got shunned from her hometown because she was born in Ringtown. She was a true OG of Ringtown,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and they ostracized her, and that it just wasn't right. Um,
It
she
wasn't.
deserved, she deserved better, and I don't say that just because it's a matter of fact. You shouldn't mistreat people just because you don't understand what they're doing. And I think a lot of people were just enough learned about the witch trials of the 1600s that I know we're spanning 300 years, but still, it still kind of bleeds forward, and people still pay attention to it. She just got
Oh gosh, yeah.
misdiagnosed, misunderstood. I don't know how you want to call it, but it just turned bad for her, and
It did. It did.
so hopefully she's recovering, and she sees, like tonight, that we are kind of acknowledging her, trying to set the record straight for her, that she has nothing to be upset about, or unfortunately she lost everything. She was
Yeah.
82 years old, if I remember correctly, right, when she
Uh, let me
she
let me
82.
let me do my ciphering.
I mean,
Let me do my ciphering.
the cipher,
Oh,
it's called Google.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just and
She was actually she was only 64. I think she was 64.
okay. I thought she was older than that. That's all
Well,
right.
I may be wrong. I mean, my math may not be mathing.
Hey, I look at this. I accept that I'm wrong 99.9% of the time, and I'm mistaken the other 50%.
Well, you're my math never maths. So 1 minute, please.
How's the I can't see, but how's the chat? Anybody going on?
No, yeah,
Quiet it
no,
down. All right.
it's quieted down. She was 64.
Okay.
Yep. And she was from Ferndale, which is actually near Raintown. It's
Right.
like less than maybe 2 miles. It's like a mile and a half,
Maybe.
maybe at most, down the road.
Right.
In fact, I had gone to patronize Sherry and the shop. I took my mom to a wine tasting around there, and Sherry was doing like a little pop up tent store. And Rachel was there, who is part of Save the Stray Skookle. Um, And I love Rachel to death. So they were there, and Sherry asked me, "So did you bring your cards?" And I said, "Have cards, we'll travel. You know me, honey. I never leave home without my cards. It's like an Amex card. Never leave home without it." And she said, "You do have your table on your car, don't you?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Set up your table." And I wound up doing pretty good that day. Mom sat down. She got to enjoy meeting Sherry and Rachel and sipping on some wine. And that place that I went, and again, I'm not trying to give out directions because I don't want you guys up on that property. That the land was sold and now has a rightful owner, and the last thing they want is, people with their headlights on in their driveway, on their property, looking in windows, trying to take stuff from the farm because it used to be Susan Moomy's farm.
Right.
Just be respectful. So the farm is not far from there at all.
Okay.
Yeah. And because Sherry was like, did you have a visitor in the car with you, with your mom and yourself driving down here? And driving up here, and I was like, yeah, Susan. And she laughed, and I said, Susan. And again, I think Susan was just, you have to put yourself in her shoes. She was born in an era where women still did not have rights. They were still considered property. They didn't have the right to vote yet until 1922. Which was 12 years before her death. Women were still considered property. Wills did not go well because if your husband died before you, then 9 times out of 10, you didn't get the property that you had built a life together on.
Yep.
And being known as the Ringtown Witch, people would walk in the opposite direction. You couldn't even take a walk down the road and run into someone or say, help, I need help, something's wrong. They would shut their doors.
Mm-hmm.
They would turn around and call her witch and go in the opposite direction. That's just because you're gifted.
Right.
A lot of people go through that. I went through that. How many cases did we go on that involved kids that were the same way?
Mm-hmm.
Got treated as weirdos.
Right.
And, I kind of side with her. I think she had a right to be a bitter ass bitch. People
absolutely.
Yeah. Everything was getting taken away from her, and her one true love that she really fell in love with, that made her happy, died because he wouldn't heed her warning.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't listen. And that made her even more bitter.
Right.
I wonder how many of those people ever got to know Susan.
I don't think anybody
walked up to the door and said hello.
That was she was probably treated like a outcast. Yeah. Like don't talk to her, don't look at her, don't think about her, because she can do this, that, or the other thing, and they never really took a chance to talk to her and understand her.
Yeah.
And that's the sad, cold, hard truth about it. And that's bring that to today. Think about how many people we know in today, living in today's moment, will have some kind of, whether you want to call it a disability, an ability, knowledge, whatever you want to call it, that we go, watch out when there's a little loony. Instead of taking that one moment to say, yo, dude, hey, what's up? My name is, or who are you? But it's easy to sit here and say that because, you and I are sitting here talking to each other. I think you and I and the people in the chat, we don't judge anybody. I see people, I say hi to somebody. I don't give a, if they take it the right way or the wrong way. Hopefully it's the right way. But it's a lot of misjudgment, and then all of a sudden you're ostracized because you made a friend in somebody or you confided in somebody that you're now going to talk to, and everybody else is like, well, that's a lunatic, you shouldn't be talking to him.
Right.
It's a lunatic based on your limited knowledge. I've talked to the person. I know the person isn't a lunatic. Or I can confirm they're a lunatic. I don't know,
Right. And Lucy agrees with us. She said, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
And that's true. I mean, I've heard Sherry say that she went close to the property and has taken pictures, and nothing has happened. And she gets some beautiful purple orbs in those photos. People have stated that every time they drive past there, if they've had a photo, something bad has happened. As soon as they take the photo, either their car conks out on them, or they get sick, or something happens. Even if that is true and that does happen, maybe it's because maybe she understands where Sherry is coming from, as like a sister to sister kind of thing when it comes to someone with abilities.
Right.
Not just even in the witchy world, but as someone with abilities. Yeah. Maybe that's why she comes to me. I don't know, but she's never been cross with me. She's never been mean with me. I've always given her time and space. And, in fact, I've laughed at her a couple times in the car because she'll just, if I go to say something, she'll do the head turn and stare right at me with the grimace on her face. And I said, you know what? You look ridiculous with this grimace on your face. I wish it would stop.
Yeah.
And then the one eyebrow goes up like the rock eyebrow. Okay. I guess so. Okay. Whatever. Yeah, that. She gives me that. The eyebrow. the eyebrow. And she's always dressed appropriately. And she'll tell me something like, just drive. Just drive.
Right.
I do. I just drive. And I think there's that commonality where she knows that neither of us will play vendetta against her for anything. And I think both of us understand where she came from and tried to get her truth out a little bit about, she wasn't the Wicked Witch of the West, people. Oh my Lord. I did research when I was researching this, and I don't know how this guy comes up. He comes up. There were like 3 times that we had to do research for the show, and this guy comes out. He has a podcast on YouTube, or he has a YouTube channel. Not that I'm saying anything is wrong with him, so I'm not bashing. So if you're watching this, I'm not bashing you.
No chuck wagon?
Yeah, no chuck wagons.
Okay.
This guy just does so many things ass backwards about his YouTube page. Like he'll say, "Oh, I'm here in the woods looking for XYZ," or the one with Susan Mooney. He was like, "Oh, I'm here in the woods and I'm looking for Susan," or "I'm in a cemetery looking for Susan Mooney." And then he spends an hour on his YouTube channel, out of breath, getting distracted, and not being able to talk coherently because he's trudging through the woods or trudging through a cemetery looking for something and not paying attention. Why don't you find it first, dude? Find it first. Find it first and then hit record.
Right.
So you're like sitting on the ground next to it, or, you found an important spot, sit on a log, sit on a rock. I don't care. I have found it very hard to follow. And I don't know if you found that particular guy on YouTube.
No, I actually did not. I didn't find him.
Oh my gosh. But he was just all over.
But that's the problem. You have people like that just they bounce off the wall, they jump up to the ceiling, they hit the floor, bounce back up again, and all of a sudden they develop something. And it's like, what have you developed? Nothing. I'm out here hunting for something. What are you hunting for? I don't know. But it's over there to the left.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was doing. I'm over here.
Hold on. Everybody, just stop breathing. And you can hear the call.
Exactly what he was doing.
There's the call of the wild.
We're talking about werewolves.
Right?
There's the call of the wild.
God knows, God knows
just
what
saying.
About, but yeah.
No idea. I have no idea. But then there was another video. I thought I was going to be watching that. I thought they were going up to her house before the property was bought, and it was like these ghost hunters, right? And they're on. It's like it was springtime or late winter because there was like a covering of snow on the ground, and you see them trudging in the dark with headlamps on, right? You cannot, please, if you're doing a YouTube and you're doing ghost hunting or investigations, we all know that you got to be quiet, right? But please do not take your microphone and put it inside 3 layers of clothing and you're talking, so all we hear is and then has the nerve to like put his head down where he has his GoPro, which he's recording from, right? Open up a pack of cigarettes and be like, hey, anybody want a cigarette? Like lighting up cigarettes, handing out cigarettes to people. Like,
exactly.
Dude, we can't hear you. What are you doing? What road are you on? Like, there was no intro. It wasn't like, hey, this is such and such investigative team. We're looking for Susan Moomy's house, da-da-da. We think it's on this road. Let's get going and turn around and start marching away. These people are actively marching. And it sounds like you're listening through a wall from 3 houses away.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the Marlboros come out. The black box comes out. The Marlboro black pack comes out. And they're like handing cigarettes out to people. I'm like, that's enough. I can't watch this. Dink.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what house you're going towards, but dink, done.
The tripod comes out and all that other kind of stuff. If it gets close to that antenna, it's going to go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, just do a little bit of research before you go into something, before you went to broadcasting. I mean, we never broadcasted anything that we didn't do a little bit of research. Like tonight. Look at tonight. Yeah. You suggested this topic of Susan, and we both looked at it objectively. And like I told you from the beginning, I don't see her as a witch. I see her as an empath.
Yeah.
Just because she was classified as a witch by the 30s doesn't mean that was right. And so just because it goes to somebody here, research it, find out what it's supposed to be, what are its characteristics. And believe it or not, as much ghost hunting and stuff I've done with you and Delmarva's Story Haunts, you learn to diagnose things and say, okay, this is what I'm looking at, this is what I'm thinking about, and just get the right answer. Just get it so it's everybody on either side of the coin is okay. Because you don't want to condemn one side of the coin and say, oh my God, they were an evil person or they were angelic. It's just, and there's enough information. There's enough information you can gather before you do an investigation that's going to give you insight. And these people who just
absolutely,
the mark on the floor, the YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, I'm going to turn my camera this way. Get ready, everybody. Oh, it was right there a minute ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on the right spot on the floor. There's an X on the floor where I was told to stand and say that. Yeah. And that happens. That has happened. I know it has happened because I've been told it's happened. Very reliable source. God bless that soul. Yeah. And I will stand up for that soul every time. Yes.
Tim says it sounds like it's the same bunch of kids that he had to tell off that were looking for Mary and Elizabeth and Tilly Bend. They were doing the same thing,
Yeah. And you know what, though? We're quick to condemn them, but in the same respect, at least they're going out and looking. At least they're trying to find something.
Yeah.
And maybe if they find something, it will change their mind. But in the very beginning, think about it. I know when I first got approached to join a ghost team, I was like, oh, man, this oh, yeah, it's my epicenter. I'm going to rock and roll with this shit. And then you get there, you meet the people, you find out, how they handle themselves, how they talk,
Yep.
what's supposed to be over here, what's supposed to be over there. I mean, my first tour was Fort Mifflin, and man, I was jumping on anything. I was going into the blacksmith shop.
There you go.
I was running into Casement 5 where Grant saw the face in the window. I was running in there, and our leader was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, this is some hype shit. I'm going to go looking around and try to find some stuff." But I didn't do it disrespectfully. But I mean, I knew
right.
try and find it and everything. But that's what I'm saying. Just
look, my first case ever was with you guys during a possession case.
Oh yeah.
We got out of that house and I looked at you and I looked at everyone and they were like, "Well, how was your first time with this?" I said, "Somebody owes me a beer because I don't know what that, I didn't sign up for that. I don't know what the hell that was. What kind of shit is that?"
Yeah, we brought you in on a bad one.
I don't know what that is, but that is not normal. Whatever that was, that is not normal. I don't know what it was, but it's not normal. But
I remember Jeff and Yvonne, we were talking in the car and everything. You're like, "Hey, yeah, we got a new person going into the group." And we walked in the room and I'm like, I already saw the charcoal black eyes. And I thought, man, this is just going to be bad. And then Buff comes in behind me and says, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I was like, oh, man. That was terrible, but that was my first comment. I didn't mean to make that kind of impression on the first client.
Hey, it's all good.
But I was like, what was that? But anywho, yeah. She is also saying about that guy, she is making mention that he will never find her tombstone because he was looking for the wrong tombstone.
Okay.
So that's all I'm saying. The only reason I say this is because I don't want anybody who's watching this to go out and just start searching. All right. Be like, trespassing and B&Aing all over the place because they're trying to find Susan Mooney. All right. Calm down. She is there in that specific cemetery.
Okay.
But he was going about it wrong. Let's just put it that way. So, goblet for you, sir. What did you think?
So, Ringtown didn't have much of a history.
No.
Didn't have much of an internal history right there. So I went on. Hang on, bear with me a second.
Okie dokies.
Get my computer to say where it should be. Yeah.
Talk amongst yourself. He's a little verklempt.
Yeah.
He's a little verklempt.
Verklempt. Here we go. All right. So what I found was, like I said, Ringtown didn't have a haunted history per se to itself, other than Susan. And Susan's not a haunted history to it. It's a misunderstood spirit that I hope after tonight gets recognized and gets taken care of. Honestly, mean that. But what I found was within 15 miles of Ringtown are 3 locations that are supposedly haunted. The first one is in at Turkey Hill in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. It's 15 miles from Ringtown. Housed in 1839 farmhouse, the inn is said to be haunted by the owner's mother who died in the building. Her perfumes can be detected, and she is said to walk the place at night. The rocking chair on the porch will move as well. Bloomsburg University, which is also 15 miles away from Ringtown, and the 15 miles is about 20 minutes to get to these locations. University is believed to be haunted at least in a few buildings. For example, the Harvey A. Antrust Library is reported to have a ghostly man who appears on the 4th floor asking library visitors to change his diaper. I don't know why. I couldn't find out why.
That's the only reason I want to go there now. I want him to ask me to change his diaper.
Why he needed a diaper change. Then the last one I'll give you is also 15 miles away from Ringtown. It is the Irondale Inn. Yep. Three ghosts are said to reside in the inn on set of an old plantation. It's set on the site of an old plantation. I apologize. One of which is an elderly female who likes to close doors behind guests. The inn's ghosts are said to come from a large heating vent located in the basement. So if you guys are in the area of Ringtown, there's 3 locations, and you're also not far from Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of history right around there.
Yep.
But they were the 3 spots that I found that I thought were, if you're going to spend a night you're going to go to Ringtown and visit Sherry, or most importantly, you're going to go visit Sis here for card readings or something like that, or talk with the aliens. There's a hotel 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away. You can spend the weekend. Yep. Get there Friday at 4 o'clock, spend all day Saturday, come home late Sunday night. There you go. So the 3 places were the Inn at Turkey Hill, Bloomsburg University at the library, and the Irondale Inn. Just something a little different tonight.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, I will be there August 30th. So if anybody wants to hang out with me August 30th, I will be back in Ringtown, Pennsylvania, doing tarot readings again at Sherry's Tree of Life shop. I'm there at least 4 or 5 times, 5, 6 times a year, sometimes more, depending. Okay. It is it's a small shop, but it has everything from soup to nuts you could possibly imagine. Come say hi to Sherry. Come say hi to Bill. Come say hi to the kitties, including Aries, who's a shop cat who likes to hang around and meow at people all the time and follow you for treats. Ask her about Susan Mooney. She's very knowledgeable of Susan Mooney. I tried to get her to come on the show tonight, but she got back late to me in a text saying that, she's like really exhausted. They've had a very busy week at the shop, but I'm pretty sure that she will be listening or going back to listen to this. I know that they were having a kitty run today with Save the Stray Skookle as well, going to Ringtown Vet with them. So she had a very, very busy day. Stop on in, ask her about Susan Mooney. I think there is also a book, I believe, that she may sell in the shop. I'll have to get back to you on that, about the story of Susan Mooney.
There is a book that was written by a University of Penn graduate, I believe it was.
Yes. Uh-huh.
He wrote a book he did a lot of factual digging. So he kind of answers a lot of questions in his book, and I can't think of his name right now, but apparently he's respected as a writer from high school. Is his first name Taj? Yes.
Yes. He
very
Maninder, I think it's Taj Maninder.
Yes.
Maybe he's Indian. Taj Maninder, I think, maybe his name. I listened to him a little bit talk about the book on YouTube, so you can go watch it on there. Stop by the book. By the shop. I think Sherry actually has the book.
Okay.
On sale.
Nice.
In the shop.
But then me and Moose are trying to make our way up there to see you guys and get up there for a Saturday. We are giving it a full court press effort, but it seems like something comes up and it's like, we got to do this tomorrow. I'm like, all right, we'll get up there, I promise. So it is something.
I mean,
we will get
whenever
I want to meet Sherry and get a walk around Ringtown.
Yeah, and you can have breakfast at the little sandwich shop right next door. They have a sandwich shop that's right next door.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. I mean, it's a great place to come visit. It's tiny. It's a small community, but they have a lot to enjoy.
Yeah.
So, that's it. Anything else? I liked tonight's show. I really did.
I love the topic. And hopefully the spirit is okay now. I think it's something she needed.
I think she's vast. She feels validated. She really does.
She should
There
be
are
able
some
to.
things that she still wants me to get out, but it's not for the public's
Hey,
ears.
Susan, do what you got to do with who you got to do it with. But I think I felt your presence here. I think I had something happen here that I think I felt her presence. Not 100% sure, but
Okay.
if it was when it was right when I was validating her a little bit.
Yeah.
But either way, I hope you're validated. I hope the show made you feel better tonight. I hope you're resting now. You're not what people perceive, and I hope that Sis and I have, and our chat family have made it clear that you're not what people perceive you to be.
Yeah.
But just rest well.
Yeah. I don't think she's ever going to leave. I don't ever think she's going to leave that property.
She's never going to leave Ringtown.
No. And I think it's she's protecting the property. That's where she loves to
be. She's been tied to the property. Not so much trying to, she's been tied to it by people who didn't explore her. And I think with you coming up with this topic tonight and us doing the research, I think we've safely let her be unbound.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think so. All righty, bro. You got anything else out to put out there? And as per usual, the Daffy comes out, or the Donald comes out.
Donald. Topics are what we love, and guests are who we love even more.
Yeah.
So I am Spirit Searcher 649 at gmail.com. That's Spirit Searcher 649 at gmail.com. Please come on, be a guest. Be a newbie. Just come in with like some wild ideas and everything. Let's just talk some weird, crazy, stuff that you've experienced or you think is paranormal. You don't have to be paranormal or anything like that. Just come on in and let's do something. But I'll answer you back and get you to be a guest on the show. It's like a super toot and easy. But I'm going to sling it over right now to Sis. What you got, girl?
Same thing goes for me. My email address is ghostwhisperer318 at gmail.com. That's ghostwhisperer318 at gmail.com. Hit me up. Ask me where I'm going to be. You want to be a guest on the show? Come on up. We accept guests. We love guests on the show. If you have a topic, let us know. Crickets and spooters, man. I'm just swiping away crickets and spooters out of my inbox. That's all.
You know what? I just had an idea.
What?
We ought to do a show. We got to work this out and get it together at Ringtown.
We can do that.
Live from Ringtown. We can walk around, show them what's going on with cards, show them what's going on with the salt room, show them what's going on with the crystal room.
Absolutely. I think that would be a great idea.
We may have to work that out for the spring. A little too soon right now, but maybe think about it for the spring.
Springtime. Springtime when the weather's getting nice again.
We get Sherry on just to and all that kind of be cool shit.
Absolutely. I think it would be cool as shit too. And I'm totally down for that. I think she would agree to that as well. But again, springtime when the weather gets nicer and days are a little bit longer. Right. That way everybody can get up the mountain and whatnot, because wintertime sometimes a little dicey up on that mountain when you're trying to drive, and especially it gets pitch black up there, like dark.
Okay.
So maybe in the springtime when the weather gets a little bit nicer and days start getting a little bit longer.
Cool.
So other than that,
uh-oh.
Yep. Next Friday. Jesus, listen to me. Next Monday, tune in for Jen and I on Witches Win It. Same bat time, same bat channel.
You guys had a good one last week about the Lycanon and the werewolves and the
vampires and all the good stuff. She always comes up with really great topics.
Yeah.
You're looking down because Missy is shadow boxing a fly. She found a fly, so she's shadow boxing.
Nice.
Yeah. Okey-dokey. All right, bro.
Thank you, Tim Hopper, for another great night, buddy.
Yay. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Tim Hopper. always another great episode. You put up with both of our shenanigans all the time, and we love you. We love you, man. All right. All right. And as I always say, thank you for showing up, everyone. We are blessed to have you all. Love you all. Love, light, and blessings. Love, peace, and chicken grease, y'all. Bye. Bye.